Well, let's go to the UK, where the election race is ramping up. Nigel Farage's Reform UK party has been boosted by 7,000 new members since the former Brexiteer became leader just a couple of days ago. New polling has Nigel Farage's party just 2 points behind the Tories. Let's get the latest with GB News host Patrick Christys. Patrick, is this a surprising result? Farage so close to the Tories only a couple of days after announcing he'll stand?
Absolutely not, no. I mean, the Conservatives are called the Conservatives, but they've not bothered to actually conserve anything about Britain. There are parts of this country now that are completely unrecognisable. Nothing works. Our health service is absolutely knackered. The roads are full of potholes and too clogged. Culturally, we've absolutely gone to the dogs. And so, shock horror, you see a man there who actually wants to fight and stand up for Britain. And he does rather well. He's played an absolute blinder so far as Nigel Farage. He waited and waited and waited and let the Conservatives think he wasn't going to stand, and then swoops in at the last minute. Just 2 points behind them. The only issue that he's got, and it is a massive issue, is that under our current voting system, he could get, and wait for this, 20% of the popular vote and get 2 or 3 seats in the House of Commons, in our Parliament. Whereas another party, the Liberal Democrats, the Socks and Sandals Brigade and the tofu-eating workerati, they could get 10% of the vote and get 39 seats. So he is onto a bit of a loser here, but what he said is he wants to lead a revolt, and that's what he's doing.
He was actually saying that his goal was, after the election, to be the main opposition. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. Well, it's possible in a moral sense, in a numbers sense. If he's going to have to wait a couple of elections to actually be physically the main opposition in the House of Commons. But it is possible because the Conservative Party, like I've said, have eaten themselves alive. They've decided that their solution to a nation that voted for Brexit, has consistently voted for lower immigration, has consistently wanted to deport people who arrive here illegally, is to fill their party with a load of people who think the exact opposite of that and then get them to stand for election. So they get a massive kicking, don't they? So when they get wiped out, Nigel Farage could be there to be the man of actual serious opposition. There is a genuine concern, though, and I'm not exaggerating this. I know we're going to talk a bit about the milkshake, but there is a genuine concern for Nigel Farage's safety, though, whether or not he actually survives for the next few years because of the way that the fractured nature of politics at the moment and how easy it is to get at politicians. And I think people underestimate that.
OK, well, you've got my attention. Let's talk about that. We'll start with the milkshake that was thrown at him after his campaign launch in Essex. Although he did take it all in his stride, let's have a look at how he responded.
My milkshake brings all the people to the rally.
So he's making light of it and, you know, it's all a bit of a laugh, which says something about Nigel Farage, doesn't it?
Look, it does say a lot about Nigel Farage, but the people on the left, you know, the Be Kind Brigade, the people who think we should all love each other and everyone's fantastic, they all laughed at this. Well, that is absolutely disgraceful. When you have a liquid poured over, you don't know for a split second if it's a banana milkshake or acid, you know, and if it is a banana milkshake today, the next day it could be acid. Then we're talking about the step up to, you know, petrol bombs, etc., etc. So there was a concern there. It turned out she was an OnlyFans model. OK, so a lot of people thought, this is the youth of today making a protest against Nigel Farage's politics. No, this is a woman who was trying to drum up publicity for her rear end on the internet. So I think it's important to have a bit of context there. What I will say, though, is Nigel Farage has got a lot of very strong views when it comes to cultural assimilation, when it comes to integration, and when it comes to certain aspects of the Muslim community in Britain. Now, we do also know that they tend to take that very badly. And there is a big, big, big concern that if Nigel Farage keeps saying the kind of things that he says, which, by the way, millions and millions of people in Britain agree with him on, and millions of people will say absolutely is a huge issue for Britain going forward, that there will be concerns for his safety. And there is an idea, I think, amongst millions of British voters that we need to protect Nigel at all costs.
Yeah, well, I mean, there has been cases of politicians having been attacked. Famously, one while he was, it wasn't his electorate office, but he was doing a public meeting when he was attacked. That was just recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He died. He died, and it wasn't a million miles away from there. He was stabbed to death during a surgery. We've also had MPs who have to walk around in stab-proof vests. One of them is Jewish, in a big area with a big Jewish population. He routinely gets death threats. His office was actually firebombed as well. We've had a left-wing MP, an asylum seeker has just been convicted of stalking them because they were saying their claim wasn't being processed quickly enough. Look, this stuff exists. This stuff happens. What really winds me up, though, is every time this stuff happens, people manage to blame it on everything other than Islamism. They go, oh, it's the toxic culture of social media. Well, no, it's not, is it really? It is the fact that someone here has got a rabid Islamist ideology and they are now roaming the streets of Britain. So, yeah, that is a big concern for Nigel Farage. But he's going to keep saying what he says. And nowhere else in British politics at the moment can you get a bloke with a few hours' notice who will say, I'm going to be standing on the end of a pier in a British seaside town addressing
Patrick,
people.
I've got to interrupt you, Patrick. Sorry, I've run out of time, but I really appreciate you joining me.